you're working on a deal. Is this your first deal?
This is my first deal.
Okay. What are you nervous about?
So the EMD, he wants 2,500 on the EMD, and I don't have that. And I know you always say we'll put it on the cash buyer, and he wants a 10-day inspection period. And this is my very first deal. Not only that, it's a triplex.
Okay.
So I don't know how to work those numbers with the triplex because when you're talking about ARV, it's a lot lower. Like the seller sold it for or bought it for 80K, and we're at 54 right now. So
okay,
loss on it. I'm just wondering, like, what
are you doing this locally or virtually?
Locally, Michigan.
All right. Okay. What's the ARV on the triplex?
The ARV is at 38,000 ish. And that's, I can't find a lot of comps. That's going back almost a year. It's just tough to find those comps, and I could be wrong on them too.
So, okay. Sometimes us Florida guys have to wrap our heads around this.
Yeah.
So you're able to buy a triplex. You're saying the after repaired value is 38,000?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was about to say that can't be it. So if it was on the market on normal conditions and ready to go, what's the estimated value?
It would be 80,000.
Okay. And what does it need for repairs?
It's all set. It's just two of them are already rented out. The third one is going to be done when we close by the end of this month. So
okay, what are the rents on it?
$625 per. I pay. The buyer would pay utilities, and that's it. Or no, water and sewer.
Okay. Are they 2 1s, 1 1s?
2 1s.
One ones.
I'm sorry, no 1 1s.
All the same, roughly?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said 2 out of the 3 are rented?
Yeah, right now.
So the 2 are getting $625 each?
Correct.
Okay. And then one's vacant. And is that one just vacant by organically mean somebody's lease ended or somebody moved out and they're waiting to move somebody else in?
They were remodeling it. This guy only had this property for a year. So
okay. So did he already remodeled it, right?
He said it's going to be finished. So it's not technically done, but that's why it's vacant, because he's remodeling it.
And would you say that, so being everything that's going on the market, is $625 a normal rental rate there in your market?
Yeah, it could be higher. I would say that's the low end.
You know, but let's assume rents might roll back a little bit with what's going on with our real estate. Maybe the new one gets like $650, $675 because it's freshly renovated, right?
Correct.
Okay. Let's just use the low number of $650. And by the way, I love doing like multis. They're just easier, to my opinion. So you realize there's 2 ways to calculate the value on this, right?
No.
So the first way is good old comps, right?
Right.
So plus 25. So the potential rent roll is basically, we would say $625 for those 2, and then $650 if he's renovating it. That should be no issue. I don't think that's a pie in the sky. So the cash flow should be $1,900. Does that make sense to you? $625 plus $625 plus $650.
Okay.
$1,900. You with me?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So when you did the ARV, did you find comps and that's how you came up with the 80?
Yes, that's how I came with yeah.
And how's the neighborhood around this? Is it like a really rough neighborhood? Is it average? Like there's a lot of multis in the area?
There's a lot of multis. It's not the best neighborhood. But it's not the worst. We'll just say that.
Okay. And there's no repairs that you can tell of. And so what was your, so do you have a contract on it?
I'm supposed to do it up in about an hour or 2. So no contract up.
So what's your verbal agreement with them roughly?
It is $55,000, and he said he'll knock off $1,000 if I add on another $1,000 to the EMD, which I agree to. So it's a $2,000. So it's 49. Or wait, hold on. That's
54, right?
54 now, yeah, because we agreed on 55, but he said he'll knock off $1,000 if I add in another $2,000.
And how did you find this lead?
I found it by cold calling property tired landlords list on PropStream.
Okay. And do you believe, is he an older gentleman?
He's a young guy. He owns over 20 properties. He lives in North Carolina, and he owns a lot throughout Michigan. So he wants to do it before the end of the year. Is that for tax reasons? Is he trying to just offload some property, you think?
Yeah. So remember, December's the month everyone makes decisions. So I told December's usually one of your better wholesaling months. Can you give me an estimated age? Because I'm trying to help you as much as I possibly can.
He's probably probably in his early 30s.
Okay, so a smart guy investing young,
Yeah.
and I could care less what he paid for it. What did he give you as the true motivation for selling it, other than tax purposes?
He didn't say. He just is very adamant about closing it before the end of this year.
Okay, and then did you look at what the tax bill on this thing is roughly a year?
Yeah, it's going to be around 1,400 a year.
And then what about, you know what the insurance runs on it?
Would we say that was we're roughly, it's around 1,300.
Okay, let's just call it 1,400. So, and then you said about utilities. Who pays for them?
I only pay sewer and water, and they pay, the renters pay the utility.
Electric.
Yeah, electric.
And what's the average water bill? Do you know? Like, did you look at that?
I did. So I don't know how does that work out when the utilities come in for a triplex? Do they split all of that, or is it just
If the landlord's paying for it, that's what he said, correct?
yeah? So it's a whole house.
Basically, they're included, so it's unlimited water. Now, let's be realistic. They're 1-1s. So what you can do is, I would ask for data because he has it. How long do you own this property for?
1 year.
So ask for the water bills for the last 12 months.
Okay.
Get a hard number because you're eating it. Like whoever buys it, I promise you your cash buyers are going to ask you for this. And if you only have a 10-day window, you don't have 2-3 days for him to wait to send it to you.
Okay.
So, but I'm going to assume it's probably $35 a month per unit. I'm just guessing. So is it the same utility company you use for your own home, or is it like a completely different one?
Yeah, it is.
So how many people you got living in your house?
3.
And what's your average water bill?
It's comes out. They break it down to
To like $100?
3.
It's like $100 a month.
$100 a month. Yeah.
So I come up with 35. So you kind of see how I did that. So let's just say we'll even do a conservative, say it's 90. So 90 times 12, that's basically 1,080 a year.
Okay.
So the total cost to run this property is 1,080 plus 2,800. So basically just under $4,000, $3,900, 3,880 to be exact.
Okay.
So here's what we do. On a perfect world, let me put my screen up here. I've been actually taking notes. This is just easier because sometimes it's just visual. If you take this 1,900, which is what? The cash flow, right?
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
1,900 times 12 is 22,800. Now, if I was a bank, which I'm not a bank, they would multiply that by 0.80%. You know why?
Why?
Because they're factoring in vacancies. The banks want to always cover their butt.
Okay.
I'm just giving you how like people underwrite these deals. To me, with a triplex, I would probably do closer to 90% or 85 to 90, because you're saying it doesn't need repairs. So occasionally somebody moves out and then you got to replace it. But a lot of times you can make it up by raising the rent. It could go the other way. So we have 18,240. Then we just minus off the expenses, which is what? 3,880.
Yes.
Oops, 3. So 14,360. Now I'm going to be honest with you, 80 is aggressive. Like that's a bank. They want to cover all their bases. Most investors won't even discount it. They'll just move the 22 and calculate it over there. So there's 1 or 2 ways you can do the math. You could take, if you took 22,800 minus the 3,880, that gives you a net of 18,920.
Okay.
If I do it the bank's way, which is more conservative, you're going to come up with a net of 14,360. So have you ever heard of a cap rate?
Briefly, I don't understand it though.
Well, I'm giving you an entire exercise on it. So all you have to do is put your price below it, and then that'll equate you to the cap rate. So if you're going to offer 54,000 on this one, divided by 54,000, that gives you a cap rate of 35%. If I do the conservative bank model, which is a little bit more realistic, divided by 54,000, that's going to give you around 26%. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, these are phenomenal numbers you're showing me, and like they're insane. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a warning here because I've been down this road before.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, he's young. The word tired landlord and young is not applicable in my book. Now, I've been tired. I got tired at 38, 39. Like, trust me, I was choking on 27 properties during that ridiculous market shift. So I became a tired landlord really quick.
Right.
I'm going to give you a little teaching thing. Whenever the cap rate is too high, a lot of times it's telling you you have a risk involved in this transaction. Now, you're not buying it, but the cash buyer is going to buy it. The risk is probably going to be the neighborhood and possibly the crime rate.
Okay.
I don't know those factors. Only you are going to know them. Why is this important? Because the riskier an asset is, it means you could whoever the end buyer is, it means they can risk all their capital. True story. I bought an apartment complex in a very rough part of town because the bank almost gave it to me. So I think I picked up around 20 grand. I had to put 50 into it. I fixed it up. It was beautiful. Guess what? A year and a half later, it got burnt to the ground.
Oh, okay.
And then I did the research. The property after the fact, like a dumbass, the property had the same problem for the last 15 years. I thought I could take the challenged neighborhood out of the property. I couldn't. And it just went back. So what I want you to do is look at the property appraisers. I know you have some help there with you. Can somebody pull it up and tell me how many owners there's been over the last 10 years? And this is going to help you give your final answer. If you see a ton of turnover on this property, it means you're going to have the exact same problem or your end buyer is going to have it. And that's the challenge. I think 10 days is nuts. But if you're going to do the 10 days and you understand it, but the problem is he's requiring an EMD, which you don't have, and you're being transparent about it. And I appreciate your honesty, is you have to convince a cash buyer really quick. So the only term that you need to negotiate is when is the EMD due? So I get it. He gave you a little discount. You gave him more EMD. I would make it on the contingency the EMD is not due till the 10th day.
On the 10th.
And then go find out and see what a cash buyer will pay you for this. But I'm giving you the eyes of what a cash buyer looks at. Okay. And I want you to understand this, you learn from it. When I see high ARVs above 25%, I know I'm walking into a high crime neighborhood and a challenged property. And the fact that he's a younger man even makes me more like not nervous, but like, okay, what am I really getting here? And so you're new at it. I think he probably has a little bit more reasons why he's not selling it. I think he's having problems with the property.
Okay. Yeah.
I think there's probably, did he have this on the open market or you just called him off the tired landlord?
I called him. He says if this one goes through, I have like 3 more properties back to back. So here's what I would do. Let me sum this up for you. Your numbers are phenomenal if it's not in one of the worst crime areas in America. And I don't know that, only you know that. Let me ask you this. Honestly, would you drive there at night right now? I would not drive there at night.
Okay. Would you let a male counterpart do it? And like someone that you loved and like were very like part of your family, would you let them go there, a grown man go there at night? Say like a husband, boyfriend, anything like that?
Well, yeah.
But would you be nervous?
Yeah, I'd be a little
Okay.
I'd have my head on a swivel.
So I've gone through this exact scenario.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you, my wife used to say, it's ridiculous the amount of stuff that you have to go through to do some of these properties. I'm like, because a lot of my renters would pay in cash and I would have to, when I was younger, I'd have to go and pick it all up in cash in the evening. And during daylight savings hour, it was really hard for me to do and run my wholesaling business. So, the numbers are phenomenal. Here's the little tip I'm going to give you. Give them the EMDA thing and just let them know after the inspection, I'll be happy to do that. Okay. That's it. Like, because if you can't find a cash buyer and quick, the numbers are phenomenal. The question is, will the cash buyer put up with the area? And only you are going to know that answer. But you did an excellent job. And then if you go to the last live I did, which I believe was Friday, was all about the tired landlord.
Okay.
So you can actually go back and review that, but your numbers are right. Like I'm just scared we're missing something here. So
I am too. Yeah.
Look at the history of the property. How old is the property?
Like it's 150 years old.
Okay. So you have plenty of history on this property. So go take a look at it. Look at the history. If you see like a new owner every year, every other year, just understanding it's going to be a challenge.
Okay.
So when I look at these properties and a wholesaler brings it to me like this, my sweet spot is like 20 to 24, 25. After 25, I'm like, dude, what are you hiding from me? Like, how am I going to get killed when I go to the property? What's going to happen? And that's because, remember, let me ask, if I went to you and go, hey, Crystal, I have an investment. It's 100% guaranteed, and I'll give you a 10% return, and you get your money back in a year. Are you in? You probably say, yeah, that sounds great. Now, hey, Crystal, I have an investment for you. It pays about 35 to 40%, and you sit back and do nothing. Are you still in? What are you going to do?
What's wrong with it?
You're going to ask questions, right? That's what a smart investor does. So you're perfect in everything else you're doing. Do you understand how we analyze the numbers here?
I do.
So I just gave you how to calculate the cap rate for a cash flowing property. Why? Because this number and this number, a cap rate is nothing more than an ROI. You know what an ROI is, right? It's return on investment.
Okay. Yep.
So if I gave you $100 at this cap rate at the end of the year, I would either owe you $135 back or $126 back. You'd be like, dude, that's all I need to do. Let me give you $10,000. Let me give you $100,000. Like it would never stop. So you know what on average does a S&P market on average over a 10-year period give an investor on average, you think? You don't have to be right. I'm just giving you an idea what risk is.
Like 60?
No. So on average, it would be usually around 10%.
Oh, okay.
8 to 10%. Remember, they're taking risk with that. And right now they're down 25, 30%. So if that's a market where it's free, but it's risky and understanding on its best average is around like 15%, you got to understand where people like how, and here's the first thing people like, am I breaking any laws? And am I going to get my money back when it's all said and done? So whenever someone does some type of scam, they're not this, I'm not saying this is a scam, but when people pull the wolves over your eye, how do they entice you to invest?
Right.
How do you think all like these crypto things and stuff that took everybody's money, how did they entice them?
By just showing them how much
Yeah,
money
they gave them an unrealistic return that they were never going to get. What they didn't realize is they were utilizing those people's personal capital to go out and make risky ventures. And if the risky venture hits, guess what? The investors get paid and they look like a hero. If the investments don't pay off, what's their worst case scenario? I'm just going to call bankruptcy and call it a day, right?
Yeah.
But now hopefully someone will go to jail for that because I think that's ludicrous that people do stuff like that. So I'm here to tell you, I've given you everything, honestly, and you have the right information. Negotiate when you deliver that EMD, and that is a tip that is invaluable. And make sure pushing forward, try to get 30 days on everything going forward. The market's only going to get worse. The fact that it doesn't need repairs is a huge plus. If you have you verified that, or is that what he's told you?
I have not verified it.
Okay.
That's just what he said.
So sometimes these gals and gals are infamous to tell you what you want to hear as opposed to what is actually going on to it. So hopefully maybe he could send you pictures or something in the property or something like that, but put it under contract. Your only condition is to negotiate when the EMD is delivered, because I don't want you giving $2,500 up front to a deal you don't know if it's going to work. You might have a good shot. In a normal market, you would have hit this out of the park. So you're on the right path and just keep doing what you're doing. So I've given you two things. You can calculate what we call a cap rate, which is nothing more than an ROI, return on investment, because that's how cash buyers and landlords evaluate if they're going to buy something. The other one is a comp. So you can easily sell this attractively on a 35% cap rate. You have the numbers, I already gave them to you. 18,920 divided by 54K gives you a 35% cap rate. You might freak some investors out on that number. So what I would do is change your occupancy rate to 90%. Okay. Let me put it up here for you. I would change this to a 90% and you'll be somewhere here in the middle. 35 is crazy. Like, I'm just going to be like, I think a lot of experienced landlords are going to freak out with that number. Right. I'd be like, oh God, please. So when are you meeting with him?
Well, I'm not meeting with him at all. He's in North Carolina, so it's going to be all on my discretion. So, I do already have a cash buyer lined up, and he told me the way he looks at it is he looks at 10 months worth of profit and 1 month's worth of insurance and 1 month's worth of taxes. That's the way he calculates his deals.
Okay. Then just reverse engineer and see what number comes up. Okay. And then ask him this question. What is your criteria for a yes or no? Okay. And then that gives you the ability, if you had to, you could renegotiate or do something like that. Because remember, you got 10 days since an inspection period. So you cannot waste 1 day. You got to figure out by really next Monday, this time, if that deal is going to work or not. Do not wait till the 9th or 10th day, because these guys and gals go MIA when you do these types of deals, and they freak out. Okay. Okay. I appreciate it. You got it. Yeah. All right. Does it all make sense? Do you have any questions? I don't want to leave you hanging out there.
Well, I can do this. I got this. Thank you.
You have it. Just make the offer. If it sticks, it sticks. It's great. It's great. He's being a little bit of a pain in the butt with the EMD. Yeah. So remember, whenever a seller asks you for something, you have to ask for something in return. Everything has to be in exchange, because like if I keep asking like Crystal for stuff and you keep complying, I'm going to keep going until you say no to me.
Right.
That's what business is really about. And sometimes you got to go, wait a minute, I'll give you this, but you got to give me this in return. That's a normal conversation, right?
Right. Yeah.
So we do this with young kids. So when Zach was young, I used to like, okay, you finish your dinner and then we'll have the toys, or we'll go by the toy store or something like that. If you finish your homework, then we'll go out to the park and we'll have fun. Do the same thing with your sellers. If you just give, they like, oh, they're a pushover. I'll make them do whatever I want. You got to assert yourselves, and this is the best way to do it. So I think you have it. If not, Zach's going to be on the next few days, and I'll be on Thursday, Friday. So if you need some help, let me know.
Absolutely.